Hello and welcome. Oh, wait, I forgot to adjust your Discord on this, Fox. Hang on, wait. Everybody, hold on. We're almost there. We'll get them. Don't worry. I know how much you guys worry over there. Uh, we're working on a new thing for. There we go. For displaying us and all this other stuff that's not going to make it's going to make these problems not exist anymore, and I'm excited to get that actually going here. But with that being said, hello, welcome everybody. I'm glad you're here. I'm going to apologize right off the bat if I'm looking over here a lot. We have something going on my main screen monitor today for the podcast that we're going to be talking about, which means that I've shifted everything else over one screen. So where Fox is normally here and now he's here, and where my outline and our chat and stuff are, it's actually over here now. And so I'm going to be like looking a little all over the place. Anyway, welcome to Nerdy Gritty. I'm excited to be talking today. But first, a little bit of a pre-stream chat. Let's see, what sort of pre-stream question? Oh, here's a good one because it's kind of where I'm at. Where do you draw the line when you decide I'm done playing this game? Whether this is that's outside of beating it, obviously. Like beating it is the obvious one, but outside of beating it, where do you draw the line on I'm done playing a game? Because I am contemplating it with Baldur's Gate 3 right now. Go ahead. Right. I'm at a place right now with Baldur's Gate where I am enjoying it. It's very good. I would like to finish it, but the problem is I don't know how much time is left, and I'm much more interested in playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And oh, you can't hear Fox? Oh, I'm so sorry. Give me a sec here. No, it's me. Yeah, don't worry. I got it. It's going to be fine. Hold on just a second here. When you're getting too angry at it. Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, so like what kind of things get you angry in a game, Mini Mary? Um Audio input, there it is. No, cancel. That's not what it is. It's audio output. Discord audio. Okay. Go ahead and say some stuff, Fox.
Hey, some stuff, Fox.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Like I said, chat, we're working on a new way of recording, but I haven't mastered it yet, but I thought I had, and so I deleted all of like the stuff for Fox to switch over to the new stuff, but I didn't. So getting rid just can't seem to get past a level. Yeah, so like Dark Souls for Fox. Yep, absolutely.
Well, I assume what you mean is when the game gets unfair and stupid.
Right, and it's the game's fault, not your fault.
You're angry at the game because it is bad.
Right. But yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'd much rather be playing Final Fantasy VII, and so I'm like, okay, what are the things that usually hook me to a game? Story. How interested, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do I care about the story of this game? 6.5, 7.
Mm-hmm.
It's entertaining. Yeah, Mini Mary says exactly that. Yeah, the game's dumb.
When the game is dumb and bad, and
right.
I am
and
the right.
Cheating.
I'm correct.
Yes. But the story for me right now was like a 6.5, 7. How much do I care about the characters in the story? Much more. Probably like an 8.5. I love the characters in the game. What about the gameplay? Gameplay is great. It is bug-tastic on the PS5 though, to the point that I've had to save. I have to save and reload probably once a session, at least once a session. A frustrating amount, and like to the point that I still think that Baldur's Gate 3 deserved Game of the Year. For my personal experience, I would actually change my vote to Tears of the Kingdom because of how buggy it is on the PS5. I'm sure if you're playing it on a top-notch PC, or if your PS5 is better, I don't know why it would be different, but I thought it was me and I didn't download some updates or something, but I had a friend who, you know, Daniel and Suzanne, they played through the entire campaign together, and she was also complaining at how buggy and terrible it is. And so, yeah, it was really, really rough, but it's real, man. I'm just, so what I've told myself right now is I might play Rebirth on stream. And if I play Rebirth on stream, then then I have to wait till I'm done with Redwall. So we'll see. I don't know. I may be done. It's tough for me though. Usually overall, it comes down to enjoyment. Like it's how much am I enjoying this? Whether it's boredom or anger or frustration. Like I'm willing to get angry at a game if I then walk away. And like an hour later, I'm like, you know what? But I want to come back to it and try this and that.
Right,
and
right,
this
right,
and
right.
Like, that is kind of like you're talking about. That's FromSoft games for me. Like especially the Souls games, Elden Ring, are games, or sorry, Bloodborne and Elden Ring are games where I'll just be like, oh, this boss is impossible and I hate it and I'm so angry. And I'll be like, rage quit, I'm done. But then like an hour later, I'm like, but now I think I want to try
But
again.
now, you know, I could try again. And maybe now that I'm calm, I could try again.
And there is an amount of satisfaction that I get when I finally beat a boss that I'm like playing for like the 30th time. I finally beat it that like I don't get out of my chair and cheer for the story of a game, but I will get out of my chair and cheer when I beat a boss after the 30th time trying or whatever else. Just like,
Sure, yeah,
100%. So I will say though that right now in Mario RPG and the post-game content, it's just really tough boss things.
Yeah.
And kind of in a literal way, like you're talking about, the extra hard boss fights are ones in which now it's not about being stronger or better than the boss. The boss has a countdown to an instant kill, and you have to find your way around that. And
That's fun.
It's a loop of that for the third boss in a row now. And it's not fun. And I'm like, you know what? I've already beaten the game. These aren't going to add anything.
Yep.
I'm done. This is dumb. This is not like, you're not outsmarting me. I'm not, you know, competing well. It's not that my character's not strong enough or whatever. You have an instant kill. And there's nothing I can do about that.
Yeah, that's not a fun time.
Not fun. So.
The other time I will be done with the game is when I get the platinum, which is different than beating it. And sometimes it also means I've started to hate this game, but I'm so close. I need one more, and I'm just going to grind it out, and then I will delete it forever and never have to play it again. The downside is sometimes it's a game I really love, and then when I do that, I get to that platinum, and now I never want to see this game again. I never want to see its face ever again, even though I loved it.
You should platinum Baldur's Gate 3. I think that's...
I've looked at the thing. It would take a very, very long time. I'm not going to say no. I'm just going to say not anytime soon.
I was joking, man. I would give a hard no where
It takes very specific play. You got to do very specific things and be aware of a lot of stuff.
And I'm sure play through more than once.
I think it's 2 playthroughs. Or maybe technically 3. Yeah, I think it's 3. I'm working on Resident Evil 2 right now, and it's a lot of fun to play through multiple times because then you just get better and better at it. And you just like, then I'm gonna do Resident Evil 3 because they just put it on PS Plus. So I've got a few in the hopper right now.
It is funny to me when you start doing the loop on the Resident Evil games, because I've done this before too.
Yeah,
how the parts that like were jump scares or startle parts before are like, I don't care, get out of here, I want to murder these folk, I'm gonna kill them all.
Right, you just run right past it.
It's nothing.
You just hear like a musical sting and you're like, you don't even see the thing.
Dun, 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 oh, okay,
yeah, you just murder it with your infinite ammo rocket launcher.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, that was the most fun thing in the world. I would go through Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube with the infinite ammo rocket launcher as my sniper rifle, and they had a Tommy gun that fired infinite Magnum rounds.
Yep.
And those would be I would sell everything else. They'd be the only 2 guns I would have, and I would go through untouched, like would not get hit, and it was fun. That was a game that I probably could have speedrun if speedrunning was a thing at the time.
Speedrunning has been a thing forever, so it used to be videotape yourself speedrunning and send it into the official whatever, but anyway.
Yeah, but was it a thing in
yes,
in 1635?
I'm watching Shogun. That happens in Shogun.
Gonna speed run taking over this empire.
Speed run killing all of my political enemies.
Speed run this coup.
Speed run this religious indoctrination of a foreign nation in order to exploit their resources.
I was gonna get real dark. I'm not gonna. I've decided to stop there. Hey, we should do a podcast before things get real dark.
That's true. Give me a few more seconds. Keep talking.
Oh yeah, that's fine. We'll do that.
For once in my life, I want to hear. I want you to keep talking.
Yeah. For the first time ever, you want me to keep talking. Yes. Hey, we're gonna get going with a podcast here in just a second. I of course first have to open up the chat on my phone because the one weakness in my brand new setup is that my keyboard is far away from me. And so now I've had to move my chat over here. But podcast, no, I can spell podcast. I promise you. Hang on. It's Podcast is how you spell podcast. There it is. So we're going to go in here with a podcast in just a second. Because we then trim these down and then export them and then put them on YouTube as a podcast, we do not interact with the chat during the podcast. That way people listening at a later date don't really have like us talking to things they can't see or people they can't see or whatever else. So just know that we are not going to be interacting with the chat during the podcast, but still put in your comments, still put in your things as if we were, because we then go back post-podcast, look over everything, and then we, respond and converse and chat and whatever else. So stick around, keep posting in the chat, but know that we won't respond immediately. We'll respond later. So yes, I'll also say, to give Fox some more time, just a reminder that all of this is part of the greater ministry of Save Point Ministries, in which we want you to know just how important and valued you are in the kingdom of God, just what a wonderful, beautiful, incredible person you are in the eyes of Jesus, and that he wants nothing more than for you to know him. And we think the best place for you to do that is within a real-world physical community, a church in your area that shares your hobbies as well. So we like finding people a nerd-friendly church that they can plug into, where you walk in the door, instead of having to discuss like what you do for a living, you can discuss what character you're playing in D&D at that moment or whatever else. So if you are somebody who is looking for a church at this moment, you can go ahead and click that link in the chat under Find a Church, and we will start a process of finding you a church to be able to plug into. It will be awesome. You can also join our Discord, which is... Wait, do I have a Discord command? I better have a Discord command. There it is, which is that link right there. We'd love to have you jump into our Discord, and in the Discord there is a channel that is just Find a Church. You put in your city and state, we delete it so you're not doxing yourself, and then we just go from there. So yeah, with all that being said though, Fox, are you ready to podcast now?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. I'll do the pre-intro.
Yep, sounds good.
All right. Oh, let me pause the music here. El Musica. All right.
El Musica?
La Musica, but I was clearly saying it like...
Nope, you meant it. Okay. You were serious.
In 3, 2... Today on the Nerdy Gritty, we discuss the Global Faith and Entertainment Study.
One more world disappears inside it. Just another hopeless addict. World that makes a man instead. If the drums don't get you, the guitars will.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Nerdy Gritty, where we delve deep into the details of pop culture. I am statistically Fox.
I am your statistical anomaly, Des.
Yeah, you're an outlier. We
Yeah.
just disregard you.
Yeah, it's weird, man. It's uncommon.
You're ruining all of our actual usable data. So get out of here. Hey,
But literally,
gonna-
so you're taking down the data, and I walk in, and I just like pour a thing of paint on it and smear it around and walk back out.
It's not
Like,
useful.
this guy, he's a statistical
Let's-
anomaly.
We're gonna start off with some sad news. Unfortunately, recently we learned of the passing of the late great Akira Toriyama.
Sorry, my dumb camera turned its.
I'm talking about something very serious
Yes,
right
no,
now.
go ahead,
You're just
yeah. My camera was dumb, and it turned on its tracking. Anyway, go ahead.
We learned of the passing of the great Akira Toriyama. If you don't know who Akira Toriyama is, he was just a creator. He created
Prolific.
prolific Japanese artist, most known for creating Dragon Ball, the Dragon Ball series, the manga, and of course the
Dragon
the
Ball
anime
Z,
that came from it.
GT,
Yes.
Super. Yeah.
The whole series. Plus, he was a character designer on huge video games like Chrono
Dragon
Trigger
Quest.
and Dragon Quest. If you go and ever see a Dragon Quest, there's the characters look shockingly similar to like Goku and stuff like that with hairstyles and whatnot and facial anime features and So Akira Toriyama is huge. He died recently. He was, I believe, 68. It was very sudden. So obviously there's been a huge outpouring of just love and appreciation, just inspired generations of creators. So what we're going to do is do it in a form of a quiz, as we often do.
Hold on a sec, because I want to say that I
Yeah.
saw an article today that I wanted to
Please.
bring up, but it was not much talking about, but it was just an article that said why Dragon Ball specifically impacted the Hispanic community. And it was a whole article on how like heavily Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball in general, but specifically Dragon Ball Z really focused on protecting your family and like family above everything else, but also encouraged folding others into your family and just like opening those arms and just how strong that is within Hispanic culture, doing the same types of things.
One of the big hallmarks of reading through Dragon Ball and Z and all this is just that if there is a villain, there is a very, very good chance that in the next arc they will be a friend. Generally,
the next
villains
arc,
are
there will
not
be, like,
completely destroyed.
A neutral, like, ooh, well, it's and then the arc after that, that's when they'll be friends.
Generally, it's neutral because there's an even greater threat.
Yes.
This is what happened with Vegeta. Frieza shows up, and so Vegeta is like, "I'll work with you now," and then just becomes friends. Nobody can resist the infectious positivity of Goku. And so they all just become friends. If a villain monster legitimately like blows up, they're either dead or will just come back as a villain. If they don't actually die, they're just gonna be a friend.
Yeah. Yep. I love it.
Okay, so in the form of a quiz, we're gonna do a little tribute to Akira Toriyama and just
All
go
right.
through some of his most famous stuff. And I'm gonna see what you know about his works. Let's start with Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger is an incredibly famous, like, for most people, one of the greatest video games, if not, JRPGs, if not video games ever made. Very influential, like, a lot of games these days. What was the one that came out last year? Sea of Stars.
Oh, yeah.
Sea of Stars had that like reaction in the combat where if you hit the button at the right time, you got a bonus to your defense or offense.
Yeah,
that is directly taken. That is a Chrono Trigger. Like this is so the influence even almost 40 years down the line. Chrono Trigger was the first game to have what very common feature nowadays? What was the feature that Chrono Trigger was the first to do that most games, I would say, have these days?
Most games, because
maybe not most, but a very common feature of games these days.
Choosing your main character?
No.
Okay.
That was pretty common still with RPGs and stuff. What was it the first game to do?
The first game to do that no other game had done before, but now it's pretty common. I'm gonna go with, if not choosing your main character, then I'm gonna say, see, because the next thing I want to say is having 2 discs, but that's not common anymore. That's not a
No,
thing that
no,
we do
not really.
anymore.
Not unless
Yeah,
you're Final
yeah.
Fantasy VII. Uh, I'll say this one, unless you've played it recently or played it a lot, it might not jump out at you.
Oh
as
no, I
the-
haven't played it since it came out.
Sure,
it's
sure,
gonna
sure.
be a
I've
good
never
long while.
actually played Chrono Trigger, so
Oh, it's very, very good.
someday
Uh,
I'll get to it.
Then is it like QTEs, quick time events?
Nope, nope, not QTEs.
All right, what do you got?
New Game Plus.
Oh,
Once you
I
beat
didn't
Chrono
know
Trigger,
that.
a
I did
subsequent
know that.
playthrough will be a little different. It wasn't a huge change, but it did shift a little bit. And it's the very first game to ever actually try to do something like that.
I wouldn't have guessed that. That's cool
No,
though, man.
no, yeah.
It's one of those things where like it just gives you that opportunity to experience the game over again, but with all like the strength that you've gained from before.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Well, it's just a bonus for replayability in a time
Right.
when, you had far less game options than you do today. Today, unless you like really love a game, you got other stuff to play probably.
Yeah.
So okay, let's get into some Dragon Quest.
Okay.
First and foremost, here's a big question. This one's a very easy question.
Slimes.
Who? Dang it! No. Who? A character that showed up in Dragon Quest, in the Dragon Quest series. Who is the greatest character ever created and written and wonderful and the best? This is the question.
Of the
The greatest character ever. That's no. This character is in Dragon Quest, and they are also the greatest character ever.
Is it in Dragon Quest XI specifically?
Yes.
Is it I can't remember his name, the super
It's
flamboyant guy?
Sylvando. Yes, it's Sylvando.
Yes. Yeah, correct answer. He's so great.
Sylvando is one of the best characters ever created.
He's such a legend. Yes.
Woo! No, Sylvando, they really made a mistake when they put Hero, as the character in Super Smash. They really should have done Sylvando. He would have been a much better choice for Smash Bros.
Yes.
He literally doesn't even have a name, the main character. It's the worst. Okay, here's another real question.
Okay, what do you got?
Out of these enemies, I'm going to give you the names of some enemies from the Dragon Quest series.
Yep.
Which one is not real?
Okay.
First one, Sham Hat Witch.
No,
Which is a pun on ham. It's a pun on ham sandwich.
That very much sounds like a Dragon Quest thing.
Sham Hat Witch.
Yep, I love it. That's beautiful.
The second one, Sack Squatch.
Okay.
The third one, Cyclown.
Good.
It's like
so good.
Cyclone, but with a clown.
Got it.
Number 4, Cruel Cumber.
Cruel Cumber is so good. I love them all.
Which one of these is not real?
Sack Squatch.
Incorrect. They're all real.
Oh, I knew the other 3. I recognized. That's why I said it so confidently. I'm like, yeah, it's Sack Squatch. But
no, all 4 of them are real enemies. From the Dragon Quest series does not take its enemies seriously in the least.
Oh,
They're
man.
the goofiest pun-based things ever. They have the slimes, slimes are great. There's a million of those.
Yes.
But it's so good, and I just couldn't. If I came up with some pun one, it would be pretty obvious because I couldn't do anything as good.
Right, they're so good, man.
Sack Squatch, by the way, is just like a bag of like sand with a face.
I was gonna guess it was like a Sasquatch with a bag, like, and it hits you with a bag or something like
and
that.
that would also be good. Cruel Cumber is obviously a human-sized cucumber with arms, legs, and he wields a spear, so he's cruel, I guess. Okay, let's move on. Let's get to the real event here. Let's talk about Dragon Ball. Everybody's favorite. Oh, I was reminded. There's a book. Speaking of like impact that Dragon Ball has had.
Yeah.
There's a book that I read last year called Piccolo is Black.
Oh,
and
interesting.
About it's the author's writing about how growing up, the lack of black characters in TV shows and cartoons and stuff
Yeah.
meant that a lot of the characters he connected with like were coded as black characters, but not actually, black people. And Piccolo was one of the major characters that the black community connected with as coded as a black person, but
Right.
not, he's obviously a Namek, a Nameki,
Yeah.
a green alien guy. But yeah, so pretty impactful, I would say.
That's
So let's get. Oh yeah, go ahead.
sorry. Just to talk on that, I love that whole idea. I agree with it as well. Like it was most definitely for me very similar, where it would be immediately the person of color would be one that I stuck to a lot of the times. But if not that, then the weird oddball non-human thing was one that I loved a lot. Yeah.
Sure.
So, but yeah, go ahead. No, make this happen.
Okay, let's get into some questions.
Yeah.
Okay. In Dragon Ball Z, what does the Z mean?
Nothing.
Z is so there's Dragon Ball, and then there was the next series,
Right.
which, did a time leap, and you had Dragon Ball Z. No, it means something. There was an
It
actual
does?
meaning behind it. Yes, it does.
I know they're the Z Fighters, but they never really say why they're called the Z Fighters. Is it 2, but it looks like a
Cooler?
Z? Yeah.
No, actually, the Z, Akira Toriyama said that the Z meant this is the last part of Dragon Ball.
Oh,
It's the last
end?
letter in the alphabet. It's going to
Got
be
it.
the end.
Got it.
Obviously, not right,
It's
not correct.
Way wrong. It is the halfway point.
It's basically the halfway point. Dragon Ball is ongoing.
Yes.
Super is still being written, and I assume
Wild.
we'll keep going, even without him.
Right.
Okay, so yeah, we learned. I think the Z Fighters thing isn't actually in the show or in the manga. I think it's just
So-
something that people call them.
Not people. It's something the announcer will call it, like because they'll do
Oh,
like
sure.
previously on Dragon Ball Z.
Dragon
Or Next time on Dragon Ball Z, how
Next
will the
time.
Z Fighters? Things like
Yeah,
that.
okay.
So,
Right. Well, yep. Okay. How many forms has Goku so far taken on in the canon Dragon Ball series?
so it's gonna.
There are some that are non-canon, but how
Right.
many forms has he
it's
had?
Gonna depend on what you consider a form or not. Like if the Kaioken is not.
Yeah, we're
Um,
talking about like transformative forms.
So there's his
not just
normal-
like extra power level.
there's his normal form.
Base Goku,
right?
sure.
And then there's Super Saiyan up to level 4, or is it 3? Super Saiyan.
I don't know, is it?
1, 2,
What is it?
3. Yeah, 4. 4 is when they get all fuzzy.
Okay.
That's level 4. Then there's God and there's Ultra Instinct, so 7 total.
Ooh, I'm sorry. You even included one that doesn't count, and you're still down by 3.
Really?
Yes.
What else is
So-
there?
Of course, we start with base Goku, simple
Right.
basic Goku. There is Great Ape Goku,
Okay, I did.
which we are counting.
Sure, all right. There's his Saiyan.
Yeah, it's not a
ape
Saiyan form. I mean, it is a Saiyan form, but not
I-
like a Super Saiyan thing.
Got it. I considered his transformations as like his power. I guess that is
Mhm.
a power leap.
Yeah.
But okay.
Yeah, that's why
Got
you
it.
were wrong.
Got it. That's fine.
Then there was Super Saiyan, of course, just the most like iconic moment in animation
Yes.
history.
Yes. So good.
I am Son Goku. Super Saiyan 2, of
Yep.
course. Super Saiyan 3 when he gets super long 90s hair.
Yeah, and no eyebrows. Always real weird.
Yeah, it's great. 4 is not canon anymore.
Really?
It was part of GT, which is not canon.
Really? GT
Yes.
is not canon anymore. I
GT is
didn't know that.
decanonized. 4 still shows up in all of the games and everything because people love it, but it's technically not canon. Then you have Super Saiyan God, which showed up in
Right.
Super. Then you have Super Saiyan Blue, which is where he
Oh.
joins a percussion-based musical squad in Las Vegas. No, the
Super,
Super
Saiyan
Saiyan
Blue,
Blue.
Dabo D, Dabo Die, Dabo D.
Exactly. Then there's Ultra Instinct.
Right? I said
There's
Ultra Instinct.
So you said
What is
Super Saiyan
blue?
Ultra Instinct. Then there's Perfected Ultra Instinct, which turns his hair silver.
All right. Again, I consider that another just that's still Ultra Instinct, but okay.
Then there's True Ultra Instinct.
I didn't know it went beyond perfect. What is perfected past true? How do you get more than perfected at something?
They're all the same. It's all meaningless. It's all just yelling more
I guess
until he gets more
so
powerful.
true. And it's still so good. It gets us every time, man.
Yeah,
It
no,
gets us
it's the
every
point of the
time.
show. It's
Yeah.
just a next bigger enemy shows up. He finds the strength to get more powerful and then defeats them for the good of the universe and then becomes friends with them probably.
Man,
In fact,
Goku
True Ultra
is
Instinct
wonderful.
hasn't even come out, like it's only in the manga so far. So, yeah, okay, I got one more question.
Okay.
What is significant about May 9th in Japan?
May 9th in Japan. Is
Yes.
it Dragon Ball Day? Is it a holiday known as Dragon Ball Day?
Close. It is Goku Day.
Goku Day? Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
Goku Day specifically. Hold on, let me find the. Oh, dang it.
Is it canonically the day he landed on Earth?
I don't know. It's specifically because. Here it is. The numbers in Japanese read 5 go and 9 ku.
Oh, wow.
So May
So-
9th is Goku.
Sort of like May 4th for us. Like
It's literally May the
be with
4th.
you.
Yeah,
it
it's
sounds
literally
exact-
Goku Day.
That's
So,
wonderful.
yeah, just some wonderful. I mean, people love their Dragon Ball. I'm excited. I have plan on going to Japan in like 6 years, and plan on buying lots of Dragon Ball stuff.
I stopped watching after GT. So I mean, because obviously nothing came
You
out for a
know-
while. There was Kai, which is the condensed version of Dragon Ball
Yeah, it's
Z.
just like a recap, basically.
But it's Dragon Ball Z without all the filler, and where they cut like, they'll condense 3 episodes. They'll cut out all the yelling. Just him going for 8
Which
minutes. They
I mean, that's kind of
put
that's
that
the
down.
point. Why would you watch that? I need to watch muscle yelling.
Yes, absolutely. But I stopped watching after GT, and I kind of want to start again.
I've been reading the manga, and I'm at basically. I think Cell just got his perfect form
Oh, yep.
in the Cell
Right.
games.
Man, that's my favorite because Gohan is my favorite, and that's when
And that's where he shines.
yeah,
Starts
he
to
does.
shine.
It's Super Saiyan
Yeah.
level 2, man. It's so good. He's the
Yep.
first one to go SSJ2.
All right, let's talk about some news.
Okay, fine. Hey, you know what's cool? Dungeons and Dragons.
Being ice cold,
People like Dungeons and Dragons. You know
Okay.
what else people like?
$1 billion.
Lego. Lego. No.
Okay,
that's
sure,
stupid.
they like Lego.
What if we were to put these two things together? What if we were to mold them into D&D Lego sets?
That sounds illegal.
Now, hold on here. That's great, right? Sure. It's going to be a dragon. We have
Yeah,
dragons. It's going to be
obviously.
an owl bear. You can make an owl bear. It's fine. That's
Yeah.
cool. I like that. It's $360. That's ridiculous. Whatever.
No,
blah,
I
blah,
mean
blah.
no, that's not ridiculous when it comes. That's to
Like,
be
it's
expected.
normal.
with-
Yeah, normal when it comes to Lego. I guess that's true.
Yeah.
But you know what's really important out of this? I'm reading, by the way, this is a PCGamer.com. Lego, the title is Lego goes all out on a 3,745 piece D&D set. And here it is, with its own bespoke TTRPG adventure. So they are also releasing an adventure that is specifically for Lego players. It is
What?
It is free to download if you
Hold-
are a Lego insider. Whatever, it's like a free
Yeah, they're-
subscription you
Subscription
can get,
service, sure. Everything
Yes.
has a subscription service these days.
But this is going to be something that, I mean, they're using the word bespoke, so I'm assuming that it's going to be something that has to do specifically with Lego, like building or using.
Can
the
you build
Lego.
stuff in the game? Yeah, like in
Yeah,
the
yeah. And so I this is what I was like. My pitch for a topic, what it was going to be, is what would you do in a Lego themed adventure? Like, do you have to find like the pieces of the MacGuffin and then literally put them together?
literally build a thing.
So it's something that I want to know, what are they doing with this that's making it uniquely and specifically
Yeah.
Lego?
It sounds like a joke, but also, hey, It could be cool.
Yeah, it could be really, really cool. And again, if it's something that is specifically made for you, that's awesome. You and I aren't into Lego, but I know guys who are into Lego, and I bet they're going to
Right.
think this is awesome, right? Because I mean, they can talk about like piece numbers and
Sure. Yes.
stud
Yeah.
counts and whatever, and like having clues and hints that have to do with things like that. I bet that would be awesome. Like, imagine for you and I if there was a, what's something we both like? Nothing. Never mind.
Nothing. We don't have anything in common.
No, nothing at all. No, like a Futurama themed adventure or a Scrubs themed adventure or something
Sure.
like that.
Here's the problem. As soon as it is released, and it just like shows up on the internet somewhere, anybody everywhere can just incorporate that exact thing into their own game. Like, as far as like it's only a problem as far as like an incentive to get people to like pay for it, because like it's not like there's any way they can stop you from just using it in your own campaign. Like there's not like a paywall for your personal D&D campaign.
I don't think they're doing this as part of like the sale saying if you buy this you also get this. I think this is just them saying like, hey, we are working together with D&D to the extent like we're not just making a Lego D&D thing. Here's a full-on module.
We're doing more.
Yeah, like just really digging into the cooperation between the two. But no, I'm very curious as somebody who's not actually into Lego. I'm not like, whoa, yeah. But I am definitely curious as to what that's going to look like.
It's also surprising because we need a segue.
A birthday party.
True.
And yeah.
That's my news article. No. I want you to guess how much money in the first 10 months of so Monopoly Go is a mobile game that was released,
Oh, no.
pocket version of Monopoly.
Yeah.
In the first 10 months, how much have they spent on marketing to market Monopoly Go?
I've never heard of this, so I'm going to guess a low amount. I'm going to say $1 million.
You're off by about 500%. They have spent hold on, I'm way off on that one. 5,000%.
5 billion?
They have spent $500 million.
$500 million?
marketing.
So 500%, yes.
500% would be $5 million. Just up by 100%.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, I think it'd be 5,000%. Doesn't really matter.
A lot.
They have spent $500 million marketing Monopoly Go. That is more than the entire development budget of Last of Us Part 2.
I've literally never heard of this, never seen this. I know nothing about this game at all. Monopoly Go? It makes like the fact that the word "go" is then there makes me think that you're out there like hunting properties and like
it's Monopoly Go global
and, like,
offensive,
throwing things at it to try and catch this property.
I'm gonna catch this hotel.
Yeah. Like what is this game? Why?
I think it's just probably just a streamlined mobile version of Monopoly where you just play, with people online.
As somebody who works at a game store,
yes,
and who at one point had, I think, 8 different types of Monopoly that we eventually donated because nobody ever
wanted them.
Monopoly. Why?
That actually makes a lot of sense to me. Sitting down and playing a board game takes time and effort and gathering people that you know, whereas just downloading an app, it will matchmake for you. You can think about it a little bit and then take your turn and then move on with your day. They have made, in 10 months, $2 billion in profit. Oh, maybe not profit, revenue. $2 billion in revenue.
That's still $1.5 billion in profit. Like
Right.
Oh, let's pretend they spent an equal amount in development. That's $1 billion in profit. Who's playing this game?
People are.
I've literally never heard of this game before.
I only heard of it because I've been in the App Store recently. And
I am involved in both the video game and board game industry. I have never heard anything about this game. $2 billion. That is bonkers to me.
Oh, you could have made Last of Us Part 2 and Horizon Forbidden West. You can make both of them for less than they've spent on marketing.
And have some money left over, right?
Yes, 100%.
Monopoly
Yeah,
Go.
People don't, obviously true gamers think that mobile gaming is not real gaming. It obviously is, and it's also where the money is in gaming.
Oh, yes.
This is where money is made in video games.
So when we say that there are 3.4 billion gamers worldwide,
right,
and that the average age of a gamer is like 41 or something, it's because we count, and as we should, mobile gaming in it. And there are so many people of all ages playing match 3s and the Gardenscapes or whatever those games are, whatever else.
Yep.
Yeah. So for sure, as with money is, that's just, again, I've never even heard of this game before.
Well, that's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.
Good job, I guess. Whatever company, Scopely.
Hey, we should get down to the nerdy gritty.
Let's do it.
We should have a sting for this. I need a button sting for the nerdy gritty that I can push.
Like a horror music sting, like a sting.
Like it used to be at the end of the Des and Fox Play thing.
Yeah, there you go. Something.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, hey, we are going to swap over here to a screen that we don't normally do. So what I will say is, hey, if you're listening to this on the podcast later, we are going to try and describe this with words as much as possible. So shouldn't be wild to you, but we are also looking at something. If you want to be able to do things like this, we stream this live every other week. SavePoint Ministries or twitch.tv/SavePointMin. That's what it is. Twitch.tv/SavePointMin. We stream every other week. So if you want to be able to follow along whenever we do things like this, come and join us. But with that being said, we're going to swap over to this screen right here. Nope, not that one. That's the wrong one. This screen right here. There we go. That's the correct one. Because we're going to be talking about the Global Faith and Entertainment Study. Now, recently what this is, an organization called Harris X, in collaboration with the Faith and Media Initiative,
interviewed the 10th Harris.
Yes. Which is always been a debate within the comics of if he's just Harris X or the 10th Harris, Yeah. So it goes back and forth. But 10,000 people around the world filled out 30 in-depth interviews on what?
No. Yes, there are 30 in-depth interviews included in this. With 30 in survey,
yes, not all 10,000 people were interviewed in depth individually.
Yes,
no,
right.
As well as 30 in-depth interviews within it to try and gauge how people felt about the way faith is represented in media. The reason I was really interested in this is because, number one, this is something that we talk about a lot here on the Nerdy Gritty as people who are Christians ourselves and who work for a faith-based or volunteer for a faith-based organization and are part of like this whole idea of media and faith coming together. This hit in a really good spot of like something we should talk about. At the same time, I love that this is a really in-depth study. They've been totally honest about their numbers, about where they interviewed. You can see that they did a really good job of breaking this down.
Yeah.
It's about 1,250 for US as the most interviewed people, and the least being Italy at 808 people. Sorry, Turkey at 806 people. Nope, Japan 805. There it is. Nope, Germany at 801. It's ticking down
what's wrong
so
with you?
Little. But just about 800. But that being said, like each country is very well represented. The religious breakdown is very well represented across the board. The age breakdown is almost perfectly evenly split, with it being 13
between
to
6
20%
different groups.
Yeah. And so it is really, really cool just the way the gender breakdown as far as the gender binary here. They have it as 50-50 male to female. And so it is really, really well done study. We're going to kind of go through tick by tick here and talk about each of the things that they interviewed, what we think about that. Some things we might just say, That's pretty cool. Sometimes we might end up talking a lot about it. Overall, I feel like we could end up talking about this a long time. We're going to try not to, obviously, go on way too long because Fox's son is napping right now. So,
Yep.
we're going to.
So hold on. Let's talk about So the idea behind this was they interviewed people who personally identify as some kind of religious faith, which includes atheism and a quote unquote other category.
Right.
There's also nuns in there, people who don't. But also, what's important is that they also report that they consume entertainment media.
Yes.
So it's kind of getting an idea of how they feel about how faith is depicted in these things, and includes people who are not religious or, not any organized religion.
In fact, that's the first thing that we're going to look at here that I think is universally interesting, not just as far as media, is what percentage per country identified as religious. So 73% overall defined as religious, spiritual, or a person of faith. But that goes from Nigeria, Brazil, India, and Turkey, who are all 90% and higher, like just super duper high rate. 96% for Nigeria identified as people of faith, all the way down to Japan as 28%, like super duper low. The US being at 77% for us, which I'm surprised that that's actually more than I expected. I guess people of faith in general, of all faiths or any faiths, or whatever. Yeah, okay, that's fair. So, a really interesting breakdown there of just the people of faith. And after that, the important part is, and how often do you consume TV? And this is where immediately I got like a, interesting. We said Brazil, Turkey were up there on the highest people of faith. They are the lowest for consumption of media, with Turkey at 37%, Brazil 37%, Turkey at 43%. Japan was the lowest of the faith-based, and they're the highest in consumption at 69%.
Yeah. Nice.
This immediately, to me, says something of the way that media can, like, I don't want to assume correlation and causation here.
Because they're not religious, they have to watch TV. It's the only thing that fills the thing.
Or the other way around, that TV is making people atheists or whatever else. But I'm also not going to deny that there is correlation here, that in some way there is an impact between media and being a person of faith. And what that correlation is, I could estimate, I could assume or guess or whatever else. It would all just be guesswork, though.
We're not trying to draw conclusions. We just want to look at these and ponder the,
I just want to say, I do want to say that it's interesting to see that there is some sort of correlation here.
Yeah.
That a worth mentioning correlation here, that maybe that's religion, or religious communities are a way that people find entertainment when there isn't, screen entertainment or something like that. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah. So here's the problem as they see it. Current portrayals of religion and faith in entertainment are inadequate. So now the question is, do you think that entertainment perpetuates religious stereotypes? And 63% said yes, they do think that entertainment perpetuates religious stereotypes, with the, controls by faithful faithful people saying that 56% of faithful people saying yes, and 71% of non-faithful people. Oh no, that's it. 56% non-faithful yes. Anyway, all this saying, okay, I'm looking at their data here, and some of it's sort of hard to.
It is a little confusingly portrayed, I think, a little bit, but.
But overall, this is something you and I have talked about before, with the idea of religious stereotypes being perpetuated, especially the whole greedy Christian one is one that you and I have spent a couple of episodes on, I think.
Yep.
So why do you think this is? Why do you think that within books and television and movies and whatever else sorts of media, we sort of default to a portrayal of religion, or what religion is, or what it means to be religious?
Well, the major reason I think we talked about with those episodes, or specifically with the one about Rainn Wilson and his tweet that one time was, it's easier.
Yeah.
It's easy. It's also easier to write it's easier to write a one note villain in any like any dimension. Even if they just want to take over the world, that's easier. Frieza's not multi-dimensional, but not religious either. It's just obviously we're not looking for the most depthful characters necessarily in Dragon Ball Z, but it is it's an easy shortcut. Christianity, there are pastors out there who have abused their power and greed and all these things. So we're going to use that as a signal for who this person is. They're a Christian person. They're a whatever, insert religion here, and they're using that as a means to gain power and to oppress people. It's easy. Doesn't always mean it's bad. It's just easy sometimes. Yeah. But what's interesting, let's look at the global number here. 63% of people who are, this is the global, 63% said that it perpetuates religious stereotypes. 37% said no, said it does not.
Right.
And this would include the people who are even non-religious.
Yeah.
63% of the as a whole said they said it still portrays stereotypes. And I really I've wondered about, regardless of like whether or not your beliefs, people know lazy writing, can see, yeah, that was not a great, not a great villain, yeah. Even if they aren't a fan of Christianity. Like Rainn Wilson is not a Christian himself, but the significant thing is when he talked about it, he's like, I know plenty of Christians who are wonderful Jesus-like people. Mm-hmm. And this type of writing is not correct for the vast majority of adherents to Christianity. And I wonder if that's not an uncommon belief, that even if you don't adhere to Christianity, you can say, yeah, I know plenty of people who are Christians. I see some of the things they do. They're not always mustache twirling villains, and in fact, most of the time are not. And so this is a pretty harmful stereotype. My mom is a Christian. She's a nice lady. Yeah. That kind of thing.
I think that a lot of this comes from a lack of diversity in writing rooms combined with a lack of willingness to do your research, which is understandable with the amount of research you need to do to 100% properly portray a religion. So if you have a writing room with, let's say, 10 people, 3 of them identify as Christians, 3 of them identify as like nuns, no faith, whatever. 1 is an actual like pretty staunch atheist. 1 is Jewish, and whatever. We got a small breakdown like that. You're going to be able to represent 3 or 4 faiths. But when there are dozens of faiths in the world,
right,
and you want to diversify your writing, not just write about Christians or whatever else, then you have to start to make assumptions. And at that point, you either need to do your research or default to stereotype, right? And so it becomes a struggle at that point right there of how do you diversify your writing without also defaulting to stereotypes? And I think the answer to that is like what we show here is, hey, leave room in your budget for guest writers.
Sure.
Leave room in your budget for saying, hey, we're writing about this time. Who is a solid writer that we know that also identifies with this thing? We're writing about Christians. Who is a good, solid Christian writer that we can bring in? Cool, let's bring this person in. We're writing about the transgender experience. Who's a good, solid transgender writer that we know? Let's bring this person in to help us write.
Right.
This is something that
consultant at the very least.
Yeah, absolutely. This is something that some video games have done really, really well. Like the default.
We need a whole episode about the Sweet Baby Inc. controversy. I don't know if you've heard of this.
No.
Oh, if you're not aware, Gamergate 2 is happening basically right now. We need to get into this because I want to talk about it. Well, we'll talk about that next time.
Okay.
That'll be next episode, is talking about Sweet Baby Inc. and the scourge of wokeism.
Jeez. Anyway, I'll just say that Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice is a game in which they brought in people that identified with the mental illnesses that Senua struggled from, and they ran everything by them. And the game is a billion times better for it, and is,
Right.
in my opinion, one of the greatest games ever made. One of my favorite games I've ever played, if not my favorite game I've ever played. It is so, so good. So yeah, religious stereotypes in this stuff, it's easy to default to. That's your word, right? Easy. It is easy. In fact, we go on here to the next step is one note storylines. More people of each religion say current portrayals follow the same storyline over and over. Within Christians, saying 53% of Christians saying yes, it's the same story about Christians over and over. And entertainment consumers in general, 56 saying yes, it's the same story about Christians over and over. This kind of down the line for all the religions was within the 50 to 60% area, so somewhat split. But that still means that a really good, solid amount of people are saying, hey, you write Christians as villains every single time. And every single time you bring in Islam, they're terrorists.
They're a terrorist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every single time you bring in an atheist, it's an angry person.
All the stories about Jewish people are Holocaust movies.
Yeah, or comedians, you know.
It's just there's more to people.
Yes.
Like a Christian story really doesn't have to be about Christianity. Just let's move on.
And again, I think that part of this struggle is if you want to make somebody a Christian, how are we going to let the crowd know that they're a Christian? We got to make the storyline. We got to do this.
Well, they wear a cross necklace.
Right.
They're judgmental.
It's just so much harder to write a character that genuinely portrays their faith while they are experiencing something entirely separate within a story. And again, sort of the whole purpose of this is to say, hey, do that extra work. We as consumers want you to do that extra work.
Right. It is not a religious statement to say we want good writing. People want good writing. And that's a subjective term, but people just want to see interesting stories that maybe they've never seen before and are also true to real human experience. That's not a religious statement. Most honest people don't care if the story is about a religion that they disagree with, if it's a good story. I am not Muslim. I think Miss Marvel is one of the better recent Marvel stuff, especially in the TV sector.
Absolutely.
I love Miss Marvel because it was interesting, and it was about a Muslim person, and you don't get that very often.
Yeah,
so
a peek into their culture and whatnot and lifestyle, and it's so well done, so good. I also would say like Nimona is a good example of this.
Sure.
In which it's not about religion specifically. It's thinly veiled, but it also really is about religion.
Sure.
But in which there's somebody who genuinely believes in this, like Catholicism, Christianity is what it really is. But then he's realizing, like, he's deconstructing. It's a whole story about him deconstructing and about the person that's there with him through this. And at the end, he realizes, hey, I still believe in this thing, but I believe in it for what it really is, not for what we've made it. And it's this really solid picture of what it looks like to deconstruct, as well as it's this really solid picture of the impact that the church can have on somebody when they live an entire lifetime of being told you are inherently bad. And therefore it can represent this other culture of a community of people that have been told their entire life, you are inherently and fundamentally evil. And every Christian should watch Nimona, is really what I'm saying. It's so good. But they took the time to write something with accurate portrayal, and because of it, the story's elevated for it. It was nominated for an Academy Award, right? It was so good. Yeah. The next part here, people want accurate representation of religion and faith in entertainment. Accuracy is crucial.
What? And then a very high resolution picture of some person.
All of this is
it's a weird sight. It's a strangely depicted. It's very anyway.
80% say it's important that the entertainment industry improves their portrayals of faith to make them more accurate. Looking at here, I mean, like as far as countries go, Japan and Germany are the lowest, by far the lowest, with 66% and 59% saying that they need to do better. Like it's still the majority of people saying you need to do better. globally 80% of people saying, hey, we want better representation of these religions. And I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that the people who disagree are the ones who don't think there's a problem, because it really doesn't make sense to say I think there's a problem and also it's fine. Like, that's contradictory. And so, like, it's a pretty, like, simple thing. Hey, this is bad. Make it better. We need more accurate representation.
But I think what we see here, I mean, if we come back and we look at the fact that it's 73%, 63% that say that there are stereotypes, but it's 80% that say we need to do better. So even among those people who don't think that there are stereotyping out there, they still think that we need to do better. Like,
sure.
Even those people who don't think you're defaulting to stereotypes are still looking at your writing and saying, we could probably do better, though.
That's a fair enough statement. If I am unaware of how inaccurate the depiction of a Buddhist is in a story, because I'm not a huge expert on how Buddhism works, I would still love if it were more accurate. Like it doesn't matter if I know. I want people to do their due diligence and understand what they are writing about, rather than just using Buddhism as a shortcut for hippie, or something like that, where it's just like, oh, that's all they are. Buddhism is not real. It's just a way to depict, like, it's not a real attribute of their character. It's just they're Buddhist, which just says they're a vegan, nature lover. Like it doesn't matter to them. It's just a code word.
And here's where things I think get a little interesting. Consumers want diversity. 68% of global viewers want more diverse perspectives about various faiths, which also means that 32% don't. And that's the interesting part to me.
That's not surprising to me at all.
The amount of people that are willing to look at somebody and say, I do not want to hear more about other faiths. This was anonymous, so I guess that's true. Yeah. But like Japan, 67% said no to this. Only 33%. Yes, we want more diverse writing. We want more diverse stuff. 67% said no. Germany, 51% said no.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in the United States, it was 66 to 34%, which is still, I mean,
just about the global average.
Right. Which I part of me is really surprised and disappointed, and another part of me, no, let me change that. Part of me is really surprised. Another part of me is not surprised and disappointed.
Look, that 32%, there is a whole industry of Christian only entertainment, of entertainment that seeks to, not commenting on the quality of any individual movie or whatever, but only seeks to portray one specific religious belief as good and right. And, you have your God's Not Dead. You have your fill in whatever here, that they see entertainment and they see most entertainment as bad or sinful or something, talking from Christianity standpoint here.
Right.
And sought to say, we need to make our own. We need to go make our own, entertainment with blackjack and hookers. Except not that. Except the opposite of that.
The opposite. In fact, you can keep your blackjack and hookers. That's a Futurama reference. If you guys don't know,
that was a Futurama reference.
Really wild. That's because we're referencing.
That's
Futurama.
A good point. That's a weird one to pull out of nowhere. That's an old show at this point. So, like, it's actually not surprising to me that there would be that many people, because there is a very large money making, you had your Sound of Freedom that came out. You have an entire show, again, not saying it's bad or good. You have The Chosen, which is, I think, a very good version of, like, representing Christianity, but it is made as a Christian specific thing.
Right.
Like, it is not seeking to portray all faiths or multiple faiths or,
Although I would say The Chosen does a really good job of portraying another culture and another religion in Judaism, and does
That's
a really
true.
successful
That's a good
job
point.
of that.
It's not simple. Yeah, they're not just like smiling white people who all worship Jesus.
I'm pretty sure
they're struggling religious, individuals trying to figure out what is right. And
I'm pretty sure the only white people are the Romans in that show.
Yeah, the evil ones, of course.
Yeah.
All they want to do is crucify some people. I don't see what the problem
just for funsies.
Just
But
because, how dare we judge? So
it,
much for the tolerant left.
even if it's wrong, I guess maybe this just is not as common. I am somebody who, if I disagree with something, I want a good, educated reason why. I want to understand that thing. I want to know the intricacies of it. And I want to know, I want to be able to deserve to say I disagree with it and not just say I'm uninformed about it.
Sure.
And so I want accurate portrayals of these other things that, even though I am not Muslim or, Buddhist or whatever, and disagree, let's be very clear, and disagree with these things, I want to know. I want to know these people.
Right.
Yeah. There's still human beings behind these things that are valuable in the eyes of God, Yeah. So,
Right. Yeah.
okay. Insight and Understanding, 59% globally reported that entertainment taught them something they didn't know about other religions.
Yeah.
Here is another thing that I thought, it's broken down through here. Either learned something, neither agree or disagree, maybe you did, maybe you didn't, or can staunchly say did not learn anything. Again, we see Germany and Japan right at the bottom here with a 44, 30, 26 breakdown, somewhere in that area between the two of them. And I think, again, that shows a reliance on media where we know that these people are low on faith, but high on consumption. We know that they don't want to see diversification, and therefore they also don't think that they're learning anything about
You're saying it's like a systemic issue.
Yeah.
It's not really necessarily a conscious choice. It's just that if this is not something I want to see, it's not something I choose to watch, then I'm not going to learn something
and
just inherently.
Yeah, systemic, cultural, in a way that I think that it would take people willing to step out and say, I'm going to be different. I am going to write the show. I am going to do the thing that's going to be different here and stand out here. Yeah, interesting. But on the other side of things, the U.S. is pretty always typical in the very near global. In the global breakdown, it's 59% said yes, 22% neither yes or no, and only 18% said no. And I think that's cool. I think it's good to know that people have walked away from media and said,
I mean,
I learned something.
To bring it back again, Miss Marvel talked about the partition of India.
Right.
An event in which the major Muslim majority districts in India were separated into Pakistan. Is a religious history event that I didn't know anything about until I watched this show. I mean, it's not religious, but the HBO Watchmen show did something very similar with the bombing of Black Wall Street in Oklahoma. These major historical
extra credits for me of all random media. Extra credit was the one where I discovered about Black Wall Street and the bombing of Black Wall Street, and just being like,
in Tulsa,
the Tulsa massacre, and just being like, is this real? This
is a real thing
that happened? How did I never learn about this? Why is it in none of our history books? And
or why just good entertainment can, at the same time as entertaining you, educate you, and some of the best entertainment will do both, and you don't even realize it. It's just not something you expected, and it enhances. HBO's Watchmen show, that was the plot of the show. That was that event was the impetus for the plot of the show, essentially. The events that this child witnessed, I mean, there's some spoilers here, but spur him into action later in his life into doing what he does, to be very non-spoilery.
So here's a part that I think is pretty interesting that will be part of a struggle, I think, and something that I think, especially you and I, who like to talk about artistic freedom a lot, and artistic being true to the artist and what the artist wants to represent here. The question of how important is it that we do this? And it's broken into 4 parts. It's crucial to portray faith, religion accurately. The second one being accurate portrayals of faith, religion are important, but ultimately don't have an impact on how people view them. Or the third one, writers, producers, and directors should have artistic freedom to portray however they see fit, even if it includes negative perspectives on faith and religion. The fourth one just being, I don't have a strong opinion on this. So where do you fall on this? I'm sure it's going to be somewhere in between. That's kind of where I am. But on the gap between we want to accurately represent this faith group,
Mhm.
but I also have something artistic. It's artistic that I want to write that wants to say something, but it's also going to kind of portray these people in a bad light or like default to a stereotype.
Then you did a bad job.
I guess that's true. Yeah, yeah.
That's like inherent. Like if it is a bad faith argument to state that you are stifling my creativity if you don't let me create stereotypical people. Like that's just like it's the so much for tolerance argument. No, if you're being intolerant, then you don't deserve tolerance. Like it's a social contract thing. But like I ultimately really what comes down to is the money. Like there are a million writers out there who might have a great thing, a great idea, but if they don't have any money behind what they want to write, or it's going to have to be, their impact is going to be greatly reduced. And so it's just writers can write whatever they want. But if they get the platform, like, so it comes down to like the platform, the people who have the money, the people who have the ability to endorse and fund these things are going to be the ones that need to see this kind of like survey and say, oh, people care about this.
Yeah.
Well, let's look for this then.
Here's where I struggle a little bit. Let's pretend for a moment you are an LGBTQ person that wants to write about your life experience, and you want to write about your encounters with the church, and it is very negative. And so you want to show how you were hurt, but would it interfere with your artistic message if you also included how compassionate some Christians are, or like how still these people were great people just with hardened hearts or whatever, like to try and give, or is it better writing still to just say, look, the message I want to send is that I was hurt. Here are the things that I experienced. Here's me reducing these people to the angry things they said to me. And that's the story I'm going to tell about them, because this story is about me.
Well, yeah, that's just the point of view. Like I read, it was, what was it called? Ducks, I think. It was a graphic novel about a woman who spent 2 years working in the oil sands of Canada. Basically an extremely male profession, being one of the few women in this entire, thing for 2 years. It's a great book. I highly recommend it. And it portrays, she writes about her, the sexual harassment she faced, and specifically, basic rape that she experienced, and it does not portray the person who raped her in a positive light.
Right.
Because not to say that person is inherently 100% evil and always does bad things and does not have any good intent. But when it comes to the point of the book was her experience and her point of view, and her point of view was, this is what happened to me. And so I do think we as Christians, have to recognize it's not always a stereotype. There are people who use their power in the church to harm others knowingly. And for somebody to portray that in an honest way is not inherently bad.
So then
it doesn't make the Christian look good, but if it is an honest portrayal, then how do we, we can't necessarily say you did a bad, this is bad writing.
So then on the flip side, what about somebody writing about their 9/11 experience and their portrayal of Islam? Or what about somebody writing about whatever it is that this culture, this religion did have a bad representation. Bad things happened because of this this religion. Are they responsible to then stop and say, but I need to make sure I represent the whole of this, and all of this? Or maybe what I'll say, I'm going to debate myself here, is that if you're telling a true story, then it's one in which you can say, hey, I know that this is showing this religion in a bad light, but it's real. This actually happened. I, as a writer, I'm not saying all people are like this, but I am telling you what happened in this moment. Whereas I think part of the problem is the fiction writing. There's a lot of fiction writing that defaults to stereotypes, and that doesn't need to happen. So.
Right. If you're writing nonfiction, then, if it's like a memoir, then your goal is to write an honest portrayal of what you experience, hopefully.
Yeah.
Or if it's nonfiction and it's like let's look at the history of this church kind of thing. Hopefully, you would be able to say, there's going to be, if you're just doing a history of Westboro Baptist, that's going to be a hard one to portray in multiple. But if it's like a history of the Catholic Church, there's a lot of terrible things to write about, but there's also lots of good people who, lots of great Catholics and lots of popes who have done good things, and institutions founded by Catholicism that are just inherently good for society. It's just, it always comes down to what your tone is, what your point of view is, what your the goal of what you are writing, and honesty. We are asking for honesty from the writer. If you are writing fiction, then I do think there is some element of responsibility of, it just comes down to not a one-note character. There are good and bad things about every single person on Earth. Again, though, I can't say anything is always going to be 100% true.
Yeah.
Like if you're writing about this and they have a one-off experience in their story that portrays somebody in a negative light, that's not necessarily going to create a positive. I don't know. You can't answer this with a simple yes.
Right.
Or no.
Right. And that's where the work needs to be done, right? Like,
yes.
That's why you got to put that work in. Okay, we're going to wrap this up. This is the very last part that we can talk about here, which is themes. They got a list here of the themes by how many episodes and how much time it was spent on these themes of TV.
Oh, this is
and
cool.
From 1 to 18, it's family, friendship, conflict, power, nature, the supernatural, war, inspiration, tradition, morality, politics, environment, faith and religion falls in at 13. Work, spirituality, the afterlife, redemption, and ritual. And then the themes most desired on when surveyed, the themes people most want from 1 to 18: friendship, nature, family, inspiration, environment, faith and religion falls in at 6. Half of the way up from where it actually is.
Right.
Morality, tradition, the supernatural, spirituality, the afterlife, politics, power, war, redemption, conflict, work, and ritual. People want to hear more about faith and religion. Mm-hmm. Again, I think you pick out the best one here with Miss Marvel. It is so well done. It is a show about a superhero, but it's also about faith and religion and culture, and does it outstandingly in a way that does not demean or stereotype. It's also almost slice of life. Just shows you
to a certain extent. Yes.
Yeah. So well done.
Yeah. Yeah, no, faith and religion is something that has always existed and will never go away. Like a lot of these themes.
Yeah.
It is an inherent part of life. People are searching for meaning and truth, and a lot of times they search for those things in or in religion. Religion can provide those things, and I think does provide those things. Mm-hmm. So to not portray them is, to a certain extent, dishonest. It's just how life is about, but it's also a bit of a, you can step on a landmine pretty easily if you're not doing, good work in how you depict it. And so it just means studios and whatnot have to step up and say, okay, people want to see this. Let's write about it. Or people with experiences should start writing about their experiences with religion and how that has impacted their life, negatively or positively. Because I would say that the church benefits even from truthful negative depictions.
Yeah.
When we are completely honest with who we are as the church and the things that happened because of us, then I don't think anything bad happens in Harry.
I mean, I think we have very clear, staunch examples of when bad things do happen when we aren't honest with ourselves.
Yes,
And we try
yes.
to paint everything in a good light and say that everything's okay and peachy keen.
Pretty obvious problem with like the Catholic Church.
Yeah. Or, I mean, even with our own church, with Ravi Zacharias or
Yeah,
Mark
sure,
Driscoll
sure.
or whatever
Yes.
else, like
Yeah.
there's plenty of stuff out there that just, when we try to say that everything's okay and not be honest with ourselves on what things are like, it goes poorly. We need to be honest with ourselves, and a good way of doing that is portraying ourselves accurately in media. All right, I'm going to swap us back over here. Fox, any final thoughts on this whole thing?
I'm looking forward to a future where there's some more and some better depictions of any kind of religion, Christianity included. I mean, personally, I would love more Christian depiction that is just honest. We didn't finish the show before our Netflix ran out, but we were watching the show Beef, which is about two people who have a problem with a beef with each other, but really it's about the two characters in the place in life. And one of them, Stephen Yeun's character, actually goes to church at one point and has like a genuine like spiritual experience.
Oh,
and like that episode definitely like started off where he goes to this church, and you're like, and both my wife and I were just like, oh no, what's going to happen here? And they actually like showed just a simple church like worship service with like the worship band playing a song and people clapping, and it was just like, oh, this actually feels like you're at a church service, like a typical like non-denominational church service these days. And it was so weird. Like it was so weird to not have it be like, I mean, people are in robes and other, I'm not saying they aren't, but like for our experience is like, oh, it was weird because it wasn't weird.
Yeah.
And so it was really nice to have that. Like we need to finish the show at some point because I'm sure it'll play into it more, but like, it was nice to see that. And I'm really hoping for more of just like, it's okay. You don't have to, sometimes people are going to get offended. That's okay. People can be offended. If you're being honest with your art, then sometimes people should be offended.
I think we are in a point in our culture right now, particularly in Western culture, where we are reaping the repercussions of not being willing to offend our own group.
Yes.
Where we're perfectly happy to offend other groups and point our fingers and laugh and mock, but being willing to challenge and shake the cage of and offend our own people group, whatever that group may be, has us in these wildly separated camps that just strongly dislike each other. And overall, it's something that is unhealthy. And the ability to just, again, you don't even have to just write your camp as bad, just be honest. That's it. Just be honest. Write real things, real people with real religions, and that's how we start to break down those barriers a little bit more.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, Fox, what have you been up to, my friend?
Went and saw Dune 2.
Ooh.
Dune Part 2. It was
Did you put your hand
terrible.
in the weird-looking sandworm mouth?
No, I did not get a Dune popcorn bucket. No, it was actually
really bad.
At a different time, in a different movie, we got a Taylor Swift popcorn bucket.
And it was her mouth. It also had all the weird, like, cilia out.
No, have you never watched her sing? She's got it. She's got a sandworm mouth.
Yeah.
No, so Dune 2 was not obviously. It was very, very good.
So I've heard.
Yes, it was just like, it is. Even aside from like the depiction of it, it's just an impressive feat for somebody to take Dune and portray it in a way that is so comprehensive, like does not just shy away from the weird religious nature of it and the in-depth, intricate cultural specifics.
Right.
Doesn't shy away from those, but also portrays it in a way that none of it is a barrier. You might not get everything, but it never like stops you from understanding what is happening and what the plot is and the stakes and all that. It's just such a well-written and executed movie. Like both of them are. And it's just an impressive feat. Aside from the quality of it, like it's just, wow, that was a well-written movie. Like how do you did that? Also, it's a very good movie. Like the acting is wonderful. This was the easiest paycheck that Anya Taylor-Joy ever got.
Is it?
She's in it for, I think, 8 seconds.
Is there going to be a third one?
I think it's been greenlit. Yes.
Okay.
This one assumes there will.
Okay.
It ends just as cliffhangery as the first one, where it's like, okay, now there's a whole nother thing we have to get to. So I assume it. I don't think I've seen it, like any confirmation that's been greenlit, but
I'm sure it will.
It's already made more than the first one made in its entire run. So it'd be weird if it wasn't.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it. Anyway, it's very good. There's a whole. There's a lot of articles about it, but there's a whole scene that was filmed with like infrared cameras. That is just like so different than anything else you've ever seen. Like, it's so cool looking. I will say it felt its length more than the first one did. It felt too long. I wouldn't cut out any particular scene. Just trim down, maybe overall cut out 20 minutes of it. And I think you could do that fairly easily with, action, some of the action and stuff like that. But overall, still very good. But while watching it, I was like, I remember thinking about how long it was in this one. In the first one, I did not do that. The first one, I've seen it 5 times now, and every time just like, this is perfect. Like, so that's my main complaint is could have been cut down a little too sprawling.
Jackie and I talked about how we really appreciated being able to watch it on HBO Max because we could then pause it and kind of discuss like, wait, what just happened? What's going on? There's just such thick lore and so much going on. The ability to stop and say, okay, let's sort of debrief here and like go into what's going on.
Yeah, if you haven't read it, that makes a lot of sense.
And so we will probably wait for this to also come out on streaming of some sort. But the first one was incredible, so I see no reason why I won't enjoy this one as much. I watched 2 movies, which I want to talk briefly about one of them and then a little bit longer about the other one. The first one is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem.
The animated,
Sony Animation makes very good movies. I mean, gasp, right?
Yeah.
We are seeing this clear as day with the Spider-Man movies. This one isn't that caliber, but it is very, very good. The animation's great. It is that caliber. But overall, it is just a heartwarming, goofy film about... it is the first time I've ever seen the Turtles seem like teenagers.
Sure.
They really, really feel like teenagers in this, to an adorable and as
annoying,
a former youth pastor, sometimes obnoxious extent, but never in a bad way. Never in a bad way. Always in just a delightful, these goofy little idiots are just out there being, 15 years old, and it's so fun. The writing is great. Everything just feels so fun. I will say that it ends pretty silly. The act 3 is pretty silly overall, but it's trying to be, it ramps up from 0 to 1 million pretty quickly.
Oh, okay, sure.
And so overall, it's, the writing the story itself is, it's fine, it's good, it's enjoyable, but as far as just performances and how much fun it is to watch, well worth it. The other one, though,
go ahead,
that I want to talk about is Damsel. Damsel is a movie on Netflix right now starring Millie Bobby Brown about...
Her name is Billy Bobby Brown?
Millie Vanilli Brown. And
thank you.
The whole thing, like advertised, the non-spoiler part of it is it's about a princess who has to fight against a dragon. And it's kind of upturning the whole damsel in distress thing. It is a little bit predictable, very cliched high fantasy in some ways. Millie Bobby Brown is not the best lead for a film. She was great in Enola Holmes, actually. I'll take that back.
Yeah, I liked Enola Holmes.
She was great in Enola Holmes. She's not the best pick for this, I think. But overall, it is a really good film with some of the most intense dragon portrayal I have ever seen. The whole entirety of Act 2 of this film, the dragon is a horror movie villain that is just lurking. And sometimes you hear her voice echoing through the cave. Other times, Millie Bobby Brown turns around and she's just there. And like, you don't see the dragon in totality until like way late in the movie.
Like a good horror movie villain.
And exactly, like her silhouette is there, and it'll just be like the silhouette, and all of a sudden the neck of the silhouette will just start glowing, and you just think, "Oh crap!" Like we're all about to die. It is so well written. The dragon, literally, just thinking about it right now, I'm getting like heart palpitations because it is scary. The act 2 of this film is scary and intense and
cool.
so well done. It is absolutely worth watching. Again, do not expect this to be a flooring film, but Millie Bobby Brown is great. I love her in this. The dragon is the star of this film.
Okay.
Far and wide the star of this film. Again, a little predictable. Definitely a kind of a frustrating MacGuffin in the movie, but worth it for the dragon alone. Oh man, it's a great film. Definitely worth watching. Watch Damsel.
Okay. We watched Next Goal Wins, which is it's Taika Waititi's last movie that he directed. It's about essentially the American Samoa national soccer team. It's a true story. It takes place in like 2011. Famously bad.
Yeah.
Like at one point lost like 31-0 and then just hasn't scored a single goal like in any like qualifying or anything. And then the movie is about basically a washed up coach from America being forced, essentially, you do this or you're fired completely, going and coaching this team. It's an extremely sports movie.
Yeah, it felt like it in the preview. The Mighty Ducks.
There is yes, it is.
Yeah, big Bad News Bears. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a mean coach goes to bad team and they both learn from each other and eventually whatever happens. So that it really was nothing. It was pretty disappointing actually because of it. It's just like, oh, there wasn't really anything interesting about the plot of this movie. Some of the characters I really like, pretty heartwarming. The character, the main character, what's his name? The coach, Michael Fassbender is the actor. His character has the most remarkably quick turnaround as far as his attitude goes. It's just kind of an immediate thing, especially at the problem with the plot, I think, and why this happened is that it's all building up to one game and they don't really have they have practices and stuff. It just felt like, okay, we have to have him change now. We have to have that triumphant halftime moment. And the switch is just from way over here to way over here. And it just kind of felt like, no, you already knew this stuff. It felt like his character devolved at the beginning of the game to then have that switch again, even though he already was he had already made that progress. It felt very strange. And so overall it was fine. There were some funny moments. But that's about it. That's really all it was. There wasn't much else to say about it. It wasn't even that funny as far there are other funnier Taika Waititi movies. This was not one of them.
I read The Adventure Zone 11th Hour. It is their most recent graphic novel release of their retellings of their Adventure Zone podcast. The first 4 have been mostly goofy comedic jaunts of this crew who are, again, a bunch of bumbling doofuses, and they're fun to watch and hilarious. And sometimes there's some heartfelt things here and there and some good stories from side characters. This is the first one that really digs into some of the really heartbreaking backstories of these characters, of the lead characters, and has some genuine emotional moments in it. And I think that it earns it really well. It takes its time and it references things here and there. And even there's some parts in previous graphic novels where they touch on things, but with this being a completely comedic book that suddenly seems to go into some very heavy emotional topics, I think it definitely takes its time and earns it. And as always, though, beautifully drawn. Art is great. The writing is hilarious. I love the whole idea. If you've never read these, the DM of the campaign is a character in the graphic novel. He will just pop up in the corner and discuss things with the characters from time to time. and it's so well done and so well written and so fun, but also this one gets very serious for the first time and does so very, very well. It's outstanding. It's my favorite one so far.
Okay, cool. I have been playing kind of a smorgasbord of PlayStation Plus games just to kind of get a feel for them. I played a little bit of Mud Runner, which is a off-road vehicle simulator, essentially. I played a little bit. I played some Borderlands 2. I'm playing with my brother. I've played 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim, which is like mostly not graphic novel, but visual novel plus some like tactics strategy in there. And they're all kind of fun, but I've been playing the crap out of Resident Evil 2. I talked about it a little bit in the pre-show, but Resident Evil, like, we played it together. We played the remake together way back when, and I really enjoyed playing that. But I played the Jill storyline, I think, personally. But playing it again, I'm on my third playthrough right now. It's just, like, it's an impressively crafted, like, tight game. Like, there is no...
Claire, not
Jill. Yeah, sorry.
Jill's
it's Claire and Leon. Yeah. Jill shows it. Yes, you're right. 3 is also now on PS Plus. I'm looking forward to getting to that one. But it's just such like a... If you only waste the time that you waste yourself. There is no like fat on this game. Even like the MacGuffins of like have to go here to get this thing and this thing. I mean, some of it's kind of dumb where it's like this weird puzzle in a police station. But once you accept the kind of goofy nature of that, like it doesn't feel like there's any part of the game that's just like nothing or nonsense. There's also some genuinely creepy moments. I think I texted you that in Jill's storyline, Claire's storyline, there's a section where you play as a little girl running from an evil old man, the sheriff.
Yeah.
That is the scariest part of the game, actually. Like, you know, most zombie things aren't about the horror of the zombies. They're, you know, it's a metaphor or whatever. This is that. This is not about the scary zombies. This is about the scary old man who's trying to attack this little girl, and you have to run and hide from him. It's like a genuine, like, I was genuinely scared while playing that part. And so it's very fun. It's just very well crafted. Everything feels very intentional with where all the items are placed and the different rooms and the progression through the different sections of the game and how they switch up the locations to keep it fresh. And yeah, so I mean, spoilers, Resident Evil 2 is a good game.
It's a real good game, guys. Gasp.
People, yeah, I don't know. People seem to not like it, I guess, but
man, I need to get back in. I never beat Resident Evil 4. I'm like, I could probably do it in 2 hours if I wanted to. And
sure.
it was one of those things where I wanted to play 18 other games and I started doing it and I never got back to that one. I should go back and beat it. I did not a dumb thing, but kind of a dumb thing. I downloaded Vampire Survivors.
Oh man, I've been there a couple times
started
nowadays.
Playing Vampire Survivors, and it was one that I played with a guest because there's local co-op now in it, which is pretty fun. I've been playing with my son too, which is really fun. I got nothing new to say about it, but it's addicting.
It's an addictive game.
It feels so good to get a really solid build and just watch everything crumble in front of you. And I downloaded it 5 days ago. And I've already completed 3 runs and, like just leveling up as I go. And what Vampire Survivors has that other games of this type don't have that I have played before is there's like, I'm not going to call it an ARG as much as like a hidden game within the game of finding specific unlocks and decoding certain things to unlock certain characters. And like there are certain hidden things within the game with different codes, and like if you go far enough or to a certain spot in a level, you'll find different things and whatnot. And so all of this leads to just something that just is really appealing and fun and exciting, and it's good. Again, I got nothing more to say about it. It's real good.
Yeah,
makes you really want to download Deep Rock Galactic Survivors.
Yeah, I want to get to that too eventually. There's so many games that I want to play, but they cost money.
All right, well, that's all I got.
Same.
Well, then, hey everybody! Thank you so much for listening. We love that each and every one of you guys have been here today. We want to know what you think about the Global Faith and Entertainment Study. What sort of things you took away from it? We also want to know what you've been up to. So go ahead and let us know. You can let us know on our socials, Facebook and Instagram at SavePointMin, or you can come hang out in our Discord, which in the chat is there. But yeah, you can find that. So, we also want to say a really big thank you to Granger for the use of our theme song, All My Friends Have Wi-Fi, and so do most of my neighbors, off the album Dear Sam. Thank you, Granger.
Yeah, thank you. The Nerdy Gritty is part of Save Point Ministries. Our goal as a ministry is to connect people who primarily have an online community with a real-life, in-person community in the form of a church. Because we know people have had bad experiences with the church. We aren't trying to hide that's the case a lot of times. But we want to do what we can do is get you connected somewhere where you might have a good time. If you're interested in video games or whatever, we find a place that also has a strong, community of video gamers or whatever it might be. So we strongly encourage you, continue being a part of, watch the Nerdy Gritty, but jump on the Discord, become part of the community we already have going. And if you feel ready, we can help you connect to a church in person.
I blanked for a second there. No, got it. We're good. Hey, I'm back. So yeah, that's everything, guys. Thank you so much for being here. A reminder that we stream this every time. We talk a little bit before and after the stream. So if you ever want to just hang out and chat with us, you can come hang out with us in the stream. But thanks again for being here, everybody. And always remember that saved games save lives.
Bye.
My voice sings all night, and this is what my heart sounds like. It's what my heart sounds like. It's what my heart sounds.
All right, we're back. Fox had to head out here. It looks like just Mary mocking me for not hearing about Monopoly is all we really got in chat today. So as Fox was saying before, a reminder that you can always go and find a church. We'd love to help you plug into there. You can jump into our Discord. That's also in the chat here. Reminder that I am playing Lost Legends of Redwall on Tuesdays and maybe Fridays. I'm thinking of starting another stream. We'll see how that goes. But remember to subscribe to our YouTube as well. Save Point Ministries on YouTube. Yeah, sorry. I again never heard of Monopoly Go. I don't know. But subscribe to our YouTube because we're going to be having some content dropping on there pretty soon as we create a small studio to start making some content. Thanks again for being here, guys. We love that each and every one of you were here today, but always remember that there is a church out there that would love it if you were there. We'll see you guys next time.